I've been growing potatoes in these containers for 3 months, and I gotta say, I've come across a few new issues along the way. So in this video, we're gonna be harvesting these potatoes, but also we're gonna be discussing the different types of pest problems, soil issues that you may or may not encounter while you're growing this in containers. Let's go. What's going on, my plant people? I am the ADHD gardener, where I use gardening, houseplants, and humor as a form of mental health therapy. And we're gonna talk potatoes again, but we're gonna be harvesting this. What's up, guys? I'm just popping in to give you a little added context about this disastrous video that I did with potatoes. Did I fail? Yes, I did. Did I feel like a crappy gardener? Also, yes, I did. This is a learning process, and I wanted you to see my fails. That is as transparent as it's gonna get. I didn't want to show you, but I thought this would really be good for a learning experience. And if I have to learn the hard way, chances are you may have to learn the hard way too. So let's find out what disasters came across with these potatoes. Roll it! There's a few topics that we're going to be talking about today, and one of them is going to be pests. The other one is going to be problems that I've encountered while I was growing this. And the third one is soil issues. I'm not going to go over the setup of these containers because I did a video on that already. I'm going to drop it right up here and down below so you can go check that out. But in this video, we're going to go over the harvesting and the problems, lots of problems that I've come across during this time. The first problem I encountered was root rot. And the root rot only really happens if you have poor drainage or your soil is holding on to too much moisture. I had to investigate into how this root rot developed, and it turns out that it was a soil issue. I had the proper drainage, but my soil was retaining onto too much moisture. I mean, it's not looking crispy. It's almost looking like it's a water issue, like it's too much water. They're looking a bit sad, so I'm thinking that they're just thirsty. Time to water. Okay, I'll tell you right now, I needed more perlite. This is a perfect example of what root rot would look like. Look at that. Brown, soft, dead stem. I'm actually kind of glad that this happened because this is a perfect example of what would happen if you do not have the proper soil requirements. Oh, it was wet. It was too wet on the bottom. What am I going to do to fix this problem? Because I cannot have this happen again. So, my good old trusty perlite. Aside from me not filling up this container, which was not really a problem if you weren't trying to get a lot of potatoes, but I encountered a bunch of raised bumps on these potato leaves, and I've never had this before. It turns out that this is a form of edema. Edema, just like it is in the medical world, is actually swelling or holding on to too much moisture. Now, typically your plants transpire, which means that they release excess moisture into the air. When your plant soaks up way too much water faster than it can transpire or get rid of it, then what happens is your leaves will start to swell up, and that's where you're gonna get the edema, the white bumps all over your plant leaves. It freaked me out in the beginning, I know, but it is not harmful to your plants at all. So don't be scared. You can Google it, of course. This is a good warning sign because we're mindful. I'm always talking about mindfulness in our plants. If you haven't seen that video, I'll drop it up here and down below. Being mindful makes us better plant people. So if you catch that, you're gonna know that, all right, my plants are okay, but there is or could be a problem in the future, and that is a water issue. Being that this one I did not fill back up after I replanted these potatoes, I guess we're gonna find out what grew in that short amount of time. This one was only 2 months, so I guess we'll find out. Now, this is what it looks like. It has not grown another potato, but that's only because it's very young, but it does have healthy roots. The original potato seed that I put in the container is no longer here. 1 potato, 1! That's ridiculous. But also, I did not add or layer any more soil, so it really didn't grow anymore. This is why we layer. But also, I did not give this bucket enough time. So, you know, I found this one. Now, this is a perfect example of what could possibly happen if you're using seed potatoes that are just from the store and they're not organic. If you're not using organic potatoes, and you use the regular store-bought ones, you have a 50-50 chance of them working out or not working out. And if it doesn't work out, they tend to just rot and die. This one is where I encountered 2 new problems that I've never seen before when it comes with potatoes. The next problem I encountered were these dried brown sections on my leaves. It would start by the inside of the leaf stem and then kind of crisp up and brown and die. I still to this day have no idea what this is. And if anybody, please, if anybody knows what this is, do let me know. I managed to get it under control by just picking off those leaves that really were the problem ones. Could possibly be leaf scorch. Leaf scorch can mean two different things. One of them can be from a mineral deficiency like magnesium or something. The other one, leaf scorch, could be from the sun is way too bright. Now, it's not going to be a sun problem because I have indoor grow lights, so that is not the problem. So being that it's not the sun, it has to be a nutrient deficiency. Has to be. I'm always talking about if you have a problem, ask. And that was what I was doing. I was asking everybody. I was asking fellow YouTubers. I was asking plant groups. I was asking everybody. And no one really had a clear-cut answer. Next idea I was thinking was early blight. Now, blight in general is a fungus. Now, you can get the blight with tomatoes, other nightshade plants. Again, it did not really look early blight-like because it's more of a yellowish, really dark brown and then dying, and generally with a ring. And I don't have that problem either. Now, I don't know what kind of pests could possibly do this. I am battling a fungus gnat problem. If you haven't seen that short on fungus gnat and veggies, I'll drop that right up here and down below so you can go check that out. Being that I've managed to control my fungus gnats, I don't think that this was a problem either. So I don't really know. And you'll also find it on the stems as well. Now, I did have a few like dying leaves as if it was a root rot problem. Like some of them were really just soft and stuff. So at first I thought I had a root rot problem, but this bounced back pretty good. So I don't really know. Mind you, you can possibly have any of these problems, diseases at any given time. It really depends on your mindfulness and how much you pay attention and what your environment or, the conditions that you give your plants. As I was trying to figure out what the problem was with these leaves, I decided to test the pH of the soil. The soil, it turns out that it was too alkaline. Now, potatoes really love an acid environment. I want to say about 6.5 to 6. They really like it acidy. Is that a word? Acidy? That sounds funny. Potatoes really like more of an acidic soil. So this container turned out to be a pH of 8. And potatoes do not like it that high. So I really had to worry about acidic soil in here. If your soil is way too acidic for your potatoes, it can really stunt your growth and you may not get a lot of growth at all. So I'm wondering if that could have played a part inside of my potatoes in here. Now, wasn't 2020 the year for some major crap issues? I guess I'm gonna have issues with these potatoes as well. I don't know, let's hope for the best. If this does not work out, this is gonna totally make me look bad, but this is really problems that you can encounter yourself. So you may not get perfect potatoes every single time. Okay. I see rotted skin. So is that telling me that a potato has rotted in here? I didn't get any potatoes at all. I didn't get not one potato at all. I've never had this happen to me before. I have mixed emotions right now. I spent 3 months trying to do this and something went wrong. I'm pissed off. Could the problem be connected with the leaf issues that I was seeing and the alkalinity of the soil? To be honest, I don't know. I've never had this problem before. I'm always talking about layering your potatoes in your containers, right? Because you'll gain more potatoes. As you cover your stem, you'll develop more roots and this would give you more potatoes. However, of course, we were having some issues with this. It has to be root rot because I've never had this problem before. Look at it. Remember I showed you the skin of this potato? That must be a sign. I was also having a bit of stem softness and stem death from the little leaves. That also led me to believe that there was some root rot down here. Invest in a pH meter, invest in a moisture meter. This can help you determine your moisture levels in the soil. I mean, you don't want to wait until your leaves or your stems get really soft to find out that that's the problem. Another reason why I'm thinking that it has to be a root rot problem is because the end of this major stem right here is rotted. There's no roots on this bottom plant. This one, this whole thing right here, this has no base root. This was only surviving from the roots that were growing as we were layering this potato. So that's the only reason why this was kept alive. I knew there was a moisture problem because of the stems were going droopy, and I knew it. I knew it had to be a moisture problem. That's it. I'm gonna turn this video around and show you what possible problems you can have when you're trying to grow potatoes indoors. And that is root rot. Root rot, baby. I knew it. This makes sense. This makes perfect sense. The remnants of a potato and root rot on the base of your plant. I see new leaf growth. So that would only give me more roots, which would be great if I can actually have a potato. Out of this whole thing, I got one potato. One. So I guess it's a win-win situation. I got one little chiquito. He's tiny. Look, I got one. I should be happy, right though? What have we learned from this disastrous event right here? Few things. One, drainage. You need the drainage. Poke more holes in that sucker. Make sure that water can freely flow right out of this container. The second one is soil. Is part of drainage, because if you have soil that maintains and holds on to way too much moisture, that is going to encourage root rot, and that is not good. That is why I moved it on, and as you see here, this one's a lot more white. It's got more perlite, it's got more drainage. This is probably why I wound up getting a potato. It may only just be one, but that's my fault because I did not layer entirely. But proof of concept, more drainage. Another thing I've learned is to embrace the moisture meter. This is the pH and moisture meter. This will let you know your conditions of your soil if you need to amend or fix anything. I put this in the soil way too late. That's when I read that the alkalinity was way too high and that my moisture was a little on the off side. So I would suggest embracing a pH meter, a moisture meter. Please do that. If this happens to you, I don't want to say don't give up, but I don't want you to feel discouraged. It happens to the best of us. I want to say that a good portion of this problem was from me. I was not mindful enough. I was not paying attention soon enough. I did not invest in this pH moisture meter fast enough. Some of these things could have been avoided had I been paying attention enough to my plants. Not only am I talking about plants are teaching us patience, but they're also teaching us to pay freaking attention to our plants. We have to be mindful. We have to pay attention because plants don't speak to us, but they still do speak to us just in a different way. They give off subtle clues. And that is the time where you got to catch the problem right when it's small and you can still fix that problem. We can learn from this. This is a learning experience. Again, this is why horticultural therapy is so beneficial for us. Not only are we going to learn about what happened to this plant, we're also going to learn what happened with us in relation to the plant. So we learned what went wrong with the plant, but we also got to learn about what went wrong with us. What did we do wrong? Were we not paying attention enough to this plant? Were we not mindful enough? Were we really not observing our plant enough? These are some questions to ask yourself. I know where I went wrong with this, but it's okay. It's a learning experience. And that's basically what this channel is about. We will make mistakes. We will screw up, but that's all right. We learn from it and we can just improve going forward. And that's all we can do. We can just learn from it and move on forward. It's all good. Having a problem like this will not make me stop growing potatoes. Absolutely not. I already knew that I had problems paying attention. I already knew that I had mindfulness problems. I already knew that I think that, oh, this can hold off one more week. This problem can hold off a few more days. That was my problem. Me brushing off these small, minor problems, and then it got bigger. And that's what you don't want to do. Don't wait until the problem gets really big before you address it, because then you may get past the point of no return and then you won't get nothing. I hope you enjoyed this disastrous video, but yet you got a lot of information out of this. So I guess in the end, that is a win-win situation, that you learned something, a lot of information from this. And if you did enjoy this video and you want to show me some love, then don't forget to smash that like button. I really appreciate it. I'll take a lot of pity likes right now. That would be nice. Also, if you haven't already, then don't forget to subscribe. I drop a video every week and then some in between. And last but not least, you can catch me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm on there all the time. I drop some DIY projects, a lot of funny memes, and a little bit on the personal side. I'm going to be growing these plants again, no worries, because growing plants makes me happy. As I'm telling you guys, grow your happiness one plant at a time, one day at a time. And until the next episode, you guys, peace and love.